I think at the end of the day, Don't Forget Me is a love song to everybody who is trying to move the world forward in a positive way. Hi, my name is SOOJUNG, and today we will be doing a lyric analysis of my song Don't Forget Me off of my EP, Desire on the Assembly Line. Don't Forget Me was the last song written on the EP. It was produced by my friend Cazo, and Cazo sent over the beat, and I was sort of going through my lyrics and found some snippets that I really liked. Years of praying for the fall of empire. Well, baby, it's here now. And I'd like to hold your hand when it happens, when it all falls down. Empire, well, baby, it's here now. And I was thinking about the friends that I have in other countries who I might not be able to connect with again, depending on the circumstances, or like never see again. You know what I mean? I think like family separation is a very real thing in the United States and throughout the world, right? And wherever imperialism decides to like arbitrarily split for the West's powers and money and things like that, and thinking about like my family and what it means to like have family separation, like as a Korean person. And then so I think like that's something that's always been on my mind, is the idea of like being separated from family, which you know is very real for so many people, like in the imperial core, outside of the imperial core. um and then thinking about like the fall of empire, and how this is something that, you know, a lot of people around the world have kind of been like, okay, you know what I mean, it's time. um but like, oh, it's here, like it's here, and that means it's going to be really challenging because the fall of empire isn't easy. And so I think that's something a lot of people in the West have to reckon with, that like the fall of empire means a lot of the privileges that they have because of the global south that is being actively exploited, right? It's because of that exploitation that they have the comforts they have. And I was thinking about my friends in other countries and like what it would mean if I weren't able to say goodbye to them, um, and that sort of thing. And I'd like to hold your hand when it happens, when it all falls down. Like, wish I could be with you guys. Wish I could be with you guys. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Yet. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Yet, because we're all going to be forgotten at some point in time. But I think there's just certain friendships and connections I've made where I'm like, please don't forget me, even if I die. You know what I mean? And you won't get it. The end is systemic. The illness is endemic. I said, heaven has left and I meant it. I'll never see you again. Orpheus and Eurydice at the end. I think there are people who don't understand that it's all systemic, that a lot of our problems like begin at the root, that the rot essentially is the reason of a lot of issues that on the surface may seem like individual, but it's not. Um and you know, even just like how we've been treating the pandemic and how the pandemic's not over, and yet everyone sort of is like, oh, it's over, like no COVID precautions, that sort of thing. And like if you wear a mask still, you're considered crazy. um you know, even though millions of people live with long COVID and continue to live with long COVID. So it's just kind of like, oh, some people just aren't aware of these things, but I still love you. I still love you. um Also, something I tend to do when I think I won't see someone again, or like we live in different countries. I was saying this to a lot of people, and where I was just like, "Have a nice life." So like, I literally don't know when I'll ever see you again, and I think that's my go-to of kind of like brushing it off, you know, of being like, "Oh, it doesn't affect me," that sort of thing. But like, actually, it affects me very deeply. It affects me very, very deeply, and I'm really sad about it. So if a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, well, I do. Well, I do. If a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, well, I do. Well, I do. I love you. that's like it comes from the saying, if a tree falls in a forest and no one's around to hear it, does anyone like did it ever really fall? And I think it's like I'm not even just speaking about myself and hearing the tree fall without seeing it, right? And like recognizing those patterns and seeing how climate change is devastating the world. Like I'm talking about any person of the global majority that sees these things that others may not see. And it's like, okay, but I talked to the trees and I saw I saw that happen. You know, it did happen. And there are people who live in denial that certain things like climate change aren't happening. And it's like the people who are most directly impacted by that, indigenous people, right? Those are the people who hear it. And just because like, oh, if a tree falls down, no one is around to hear, did it really fall? Yes. Yes, it still fell. And then I love you because it's like, I love you. I think at the end of the day, Don't Forget Me is a love song to everybody who is trying to move the world forward in a positive way, who is trying to preserve the earth, preserve their culture, who, you know, are trying really to, and let me say this, preserve their culture in a way that doesn't hate immigrants or people who are different, people who are different than them, like other minorities. I want to be so clear about that. But you know, people who are really trying to actively, you know, look out for their loved ones in a time where there's a lot of like far right extremism and that sort of thing. And it's a love song to everyone who is doing the good fight and making us all feel safe, because I am deeply indebted to those people. Those people saved me a lot of times, and I'm grateful for them. And that's Don't Forget Me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me.